ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Tuesday, November 18th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann, with our text line now open. That means you can talk to me and I can talk to you. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is the number to be a part of today's show. We've got comments from head coach Tony Gibson for today as they're heard moving on now, focusing on Appalachian State. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about this game for just a few minutes with you because of the fact that this is one of my favorite matchups, and I think it might be yours as well, at least if you are a certain age. If you go back a little bit, we're not that old. App State, Marshall, that was in the Southern Conference days. App State leads the all-time series 16-11, and Marshall has had the better of App State at the FBS level, 3-2 advantage there. Both teams are FBS members at this point, 3-2 is the record. But Marshall goes into Boone, North Carolina, and App State almost always wins. It's a 10-3 margin in favor of App State. And, of course, last year, Marshall put that 52-37 beating on App State. But the last time Marshall was in Boone, it was a 31-9 victory for the Mountaineers. So this one's an important game. App State is not App State of old, or at least this version. 4-6 overall, but 1-5 in the Sun Belt. This team is down. Lost against James Madison 58-10. Wasn't expecting that big of a margin of victory here. Lost to Georgia Southern 25-23. Lost to Old Dominion. Lost to Coastal Carolina. Beat Georgia State, and unfortunately, that's not really saying much these days. I mean, Marshall had to go down and put a good effort. Georgia State, record-wise, not that good. I mean, they've gotten better, but still, that's your lone league win. And you host Oregon State and you win that one. But you lose early to Southern Miss, 38-22, and then it didn't get any better. Other than that Oregon State win, that's really the highlight for me. Boise State on the road there, lost that one 47-14. This is not Appalachian State that I'm used to. Appalachian State is a team that you are battling for league supremacy in the East Division every year. This is not that Appalachian State team, but guess what? I don't think any of that matters. This is Marshall and Appalachian State. They're also going to be celebrating the 2005 FCS National Championship team that day. So Marshall's got a couple of those. App State, of course, no stranger to the FCS championship ranks. I mean, here's what they've done. They have won the Sun Belt 4 times. They have won the national championship 3 times, 2005, 2006, and 2007. 12 times won the Southern Conference. This is a program that has been one of the top either group of 5 programs over, I don't know how long, ever since it moved up. It's been solid. It's been good. It's App State. So I don't really know how to process this right now, that Marshall is 5-5, 3-3 in league play, and App State is 4-6 and 1-5 in league play. Of course, Dal Loggins, the head coach, first year as the head coach of the Mountaineers. So we'll see what this rivalry looks like on Saturday. We'll have the game for you. Now, keep in mind, this game is going to be a early start for us. We'll go on the air at 11:30, live from Giovanni's. We'll be at 20th Street. This is going to be outside the bowl game. This is going to be it. Be our last visit, regular season anyway, at Giovanni's 20th Street. So we invite you to come out and get your game day meal at Giovanni's 20th Street, or if you're just looking for a place to go watch the game, definitely the place to be, right across from Jones C. Everett Stadium. All right, commercial over. Now let's get your text in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Mountaineers and the Thundering Herd getting set for a battle on Saturday. We'll hear from Coach Gibson on that game and about last week's performance in just a few minutes. So that's important. Also, we've got a full week, as you already know, and if you don't, let me get you caught up. Of course, we've got soccer coming up on Thursday at Hoops Family Field. The winner has the right to go on and play NC State on Sunday. And, of course, in soccer Sunbelt scheduling, Kentucky has St. Louis, visiting St. Louis, and then WVU will host St. John. So WVU gets to host a game. Kentucky on the road. Marshall, of course, gets to host Cleveland State. And then basketball is going to be on Thursday at 4 p.m. We'll go on the air at 3 o'clock right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog. So there is a lot going on. Volleyball. Saw the buses earlier today over the Cam Henderson Center as I was heading down to talk to Coach Jackson. We're going to hear more from him this week. But the buses were getting ready. Volleyball is off to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. So that is an improvement for this team, getting to the postseason in the tournament. So is it safe to say that strides are being made? Finally, we're seeing some growth from the volleyball program, kind of the potential that we hope would be there, a few years in. I thought it would take some sports longer than others, and volleyball was one of those sports. It took a little longer to kind of get to the process. We're still seeing some of that in women's soccer as well. I mean, there's some sports that have taken off. Soccer's taken off. Football is competing. Basketball, Coach Jackson doing things, making this team very competitive. Some of the other sports taking some time, but positive nonetheless to talk about volleyball getting a chance to compete at the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. So that's always a plus for the Thundering Herd. We're going to take our first break. Want to get ready for comments from Coach Gibson. By the way, the coaches show is coming up tonight, 7:05. We'll have it for you here and on 93.7 The Dog. There's a lot to talk about. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, a candidate for the Manning Awards, National Quarterback of the Week. I know Coach will want to talk a little bit about that. And, of course, the Thundering Herd getting set for a rivalry game with the Appalachian State Mountaineers. It's, for me, one of the two big games on the schedule. You have this game, you have Georgia Southern. Those are two of the biggest games for me. I think on that schedule, you're looking at maybe now, if I'm ranking them, I'm going to go with App State, Georgia State, and that flips, and JMU. Those are my top three. Got to get those games, rivalry-type games. And, of course, James Madison, there's some history back in the 1AA days with James Madison, and it's become a good rivalry. Southern Conference days, obviously Georgia Southern and Appalachian State. Those are some big games. Georgia Southern. Southern, not State. Let me get that correct here. I don't want my Georgia Southern friends getting mad at me here. But Georgia Southern was a newcomer to the Southern Conference, so there isn't that much of a history there, but what history is there is pretty meaningful. So I'm putting that as probably on the conference schedule. I circle that game. I circle App State first and second, and then I circle JMU. After that, I don't think I can go wrong with any of the East Division. To be quite fair, I don't think I can go wrong, but this is the Thundering Herd and the Mountaineers, so I definitely circle this one as one of the important games for me. And App State could play the role of potential spoiler for the Thundering Herd. Keep that in mind. Marshall, right now, could end the Mountaineers' postseason hopes. 4-6. If App State wins out and beats Marshall and then beats Arkansas State, it's bowl eligible. If Marshall just wins one of the next two, it's bowl eligible. So App State could play a part in that, ruining Marshall's postseason hopes. Marshall could knock App State out of bowl eligibility with that 7th loss. So there's a lot going on here. We'll talk about the importance of this one here from Coach Gibson, and we'll hear from you. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Your text coming up. Also, comments from Coach Gibson on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
You've cut back on everything and you're still coming up short at the end of the month. Give your local State Farm agent a call for a free discount double check. They'll show you how something as simple as combining car and home policies can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Being there to help keep more of your money is why your local State Farm agent is here. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Huntington, Ray Crabtree, 304-736-8181. In Milton, Russ McRae, 304-743-9318. And in Lavallette, Jason Elkins, 304-529-7555.
Hey, Tri-State. Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's.
Our Kendrick Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Roosters at Pullman Square. Over 40 TVs, hot wings, cold beer, and great daily specials. Roosters, a fun, casual joint. Spring Valley Plaza on Jackson Pike, featuring the UPS store. The Herbal Tea Shop, AJ's Axe House, Classic Barber, Loco Taco, and more. And Classic Jewelry and Loan in Barbersville, your gold and silver headquarters with guns, jewelry, and more. Voted best in the Tri-State.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with this Tuesday edition of Your Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line, open and brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Busy day at Marshall. Had a chance to catch up earlier today with the head coach of the Thundering Herd, Tony Gibson. This week, the opponent is App State, as we wax poetic, or at least I do, going back to those Southern Conference days. Trust me, if you weren't there, they were fun, and hopefully we'll see more of the same. The Thundering Herd and App State should be a good one on Saturday. But let's hear first from Coach Gibson as he opened up the presser with his basically setting the table for what's happening this week and what happened last week.
Yeah, just a big week for us right here. This game obviously means a lot to our fan base, old rivalry. Even had a special guest today come by practice. Coach Pruitt came by, talked to the guys. So it was great to see him. Got his juices flowing a little bit. But this is obviously a really big game for us. Again, for a lot of different reasons. Bowl eligibility is on the line. It's a rival game. And, it's our next game. So, thought that after watching the film from last week, obviously we left some plays out there. Defensively, once we settled in, I thought that obviously it got a lot better after giving up the big run.
I agree. It did settle in. The team got better. Marshall gets the win. And I like that you don't have to really explain it to Coach Gibson. I mean, he knows. App State, it's a rivalry. A lot of Herd fans like getting after App State. App State's going to have a great atmosphere. It's always a great atmosphere in Boone. It's one of the better venues to go to, especially in the Sun Belt. Just, you look at it, you experience it, and it's like it's college football. I mean, not commercialized college football. It's just like college football. It feels great to be, in Boone for college football Saturday. The atmosphere, the fans are going to be on you. They're going to be into it. And Coach just talked about that atmosphere, what's that going to be like? And it's also good to actually go into a venue where there is an atmosphere. Last week against Georgia State, you go into that venue and you got to manufacture your own energy because you're not getting any juice from that. Unfortunately, that's just not a program bringing the fans the way an App State will bring them. And so Coach talked about that atmosphere. What's that going to be like? How excited he is to be going to a place like Kid Brewer Stadium.
Anytime you go on the road with a great crowd, and we use that as motivation. It's us against everybody. So, and I know we'll have some fans there. Our fans travel well. So, but it's a great atmosphere, and looking forward to it with our guys.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those where you don't have to bring your juice. You don't have to sit there and be at attention. You already should be. You don't have to be told, hey, okay, now there's going to be a crowd here. No, you can focus on just playing football because this game means something. Bowl eligibility could help you there. Rivalry game, that's going to get your attention as well. And you don't have to worry about, okay, now do I need to get these guys' attention? Do I need to kind of preface the fact that, this isn't just going to be another game, even though it's supposed to be just another game. There's going to be a little bit more to this. So there's a lot of big game attention here. And for Coach, when I was asking him about it, I mean, he likes going into situations like this.
Yeah, that's all we worry about. And to be honest with you, it's all about us right now. Like, what do we have to do to go win this football game? Obviously, we're playing a good team that can beat us if we don't go in and execute and focus and know what we're doing. And, so I put more of our prep on us. Obviously, we study the film. We're going to practice, do all the things we need to do to get ready for App. But, again, it's our mindset. How are we going to approach this game? We can't go up there and get caught up in the emotion of the crowd and all that. Let's just execute and be who we are and be the best versions of ourselves.
It will be an atmosphere, though. That's the thing. You go into Boone, And hopefully you see what Boone, North Carolina looks like on a Marshall game day. I'd hate to think that Marshall goes in there and there's just no juice to the building. Because App State is, and believe it or not, App State doesn't lose very often at Kid Brewer Stadium. And already, if you look at the schedule, lost to Georgia Southern at home, lost to Coastal Carolina at home. So there's a couple there. One against Oregon State, one against Lindenwood. So right now, 2-2. Can Marshall go in and drop a third loss on App State? Is that possible? Third home loss? Because that just doesn't happen very often. So Marshall, of course, has got its hands full with that assignment. But with that said, why, and this was the question asked to Coach Gibson, why has App State been able to be so successful at home?
Yeah, I just think, the atmosphere helps. You're familiar with your surroundings, all those things. You get the crowd behind you, get some momentum going. That's huge for any football team. So, again, it's a challenge to play there. But our kids are looking forward to it.
304-396-TALK is our text line, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So, for those of you that have made the trip before, what are you excited for with this game? Do you hate going to Boone? Do you like going to Boone? Am I just giving them too much credit for having a great venue and great atmosphere? Am I over-talking this here? Am I giving the Mountaineers too much praise? Is probably the question I'm asking you. So we'll take your text, and we'll do that, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Also, we're going to hear more from Coach Gibson as we're going to talk a little bit about last week's game and look ahead further to this one against App State. What's this Mountaineers team about? We'll hear from Coach Gibson when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Polka Valley Bank. Polka Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Polka Valley Bank locations today. Polka Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Polka Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Transform your outdoors all year long with Roberts Lawn Care and Landscaping. Family owned and operated, serving the tri-state area with expert landscaping services. From vibrant spring gardens to cozy fall patios and everything in between. Roberts specializes in sustainable landscaping that thrives through every season, residential or commercial. Roberts creates personalized solutions to bring your vision to life. Call Roberts today at 304-633-5822 because your dream yard deserves 4 seasons of care.
Cold weather's on its way, and what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
College basketball fans, the holiday season tips off with a showdown in the Mountain State at the Holiday Hoop Fest. It's West Virginia versus Wake Forest, Saturday, December the 6th at the Charleston Coliseum. Get ready for a high-stakes battle filled with fierce defense, fast-paced action, and that big game energy only college hoops can bring. Tickets start at just $30 and are available now at Ticketmaster.com or the Charleston Coliseum box office. The Holiday Hoop Fest, West Virginia, Wake Forest, where the season heats up.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with this Tuesday edition of Your Drive. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line continues at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We're going to hear more from Coach Gibson in just a moment. Texter says, Paul, as we know, one more win to be bowl eligible. The Herd wins a close one, 35-31. Finish strong and go Herd. Absolutely. Hey, look, Bobby Pruitt was in the house today speaking to the team. If that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. I mean, after all, Bobby won a lot of football games. He won a few now and then. He wasn't terrible at his job by any stretch of the imagination. So Bobby Pruitt there, giving the words of wisdom, speaking to the team. Probably the all-time greatest coach by success. I mean, you can look at wins and you can look at any other metrics, but him, Jim Donnan. I mean, really, there was a long line of coaches that got Marshall to the point where it was, and then Donnan gets him to the national championship and wins it, and then Pruitt comes in, and first things first, he didn't blow it. Hats off to Bobby Pruitt for coming in and not blowing it. Because you're coming off a national championship, and then you got Pruitt coming in and not blowing it. Herd wins the national championship in 92 and in 96. And Donnan gets him to several championship games, wins in 92. I mean, I'm happy with Marshall football in the 90s under Jim Donnan, and then he leaves bigger and better. And then Pruitt comes in, first things first, doesn't blow it, brings in Kresser, this Moss kid, I don't know if anyone heard of him, and just terrorizes Division I AA, not blowing it, wins that national championship, and then goes on to terrorize the Mid-American Conference. Yeah, hats off to him for not messing up a good thing and making it better. So kudos to the coach, and he's over talking to the players today, sharing stories, and that's got to get you fired up. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. just because it's the Herd in Boone, we know how that goes. Here we go. Texter says, Paul, we can't have a real hot and heavy rivalry game. All new coaches, new players, don't play a real rivalry game. Well, it's got to be a rivalry. It's got to be. I mean, you play for the front of the jersey. Remember that? You're playing for Marshall. It's Marshall has the rivalry. I mean, Carlos will come into it. Carlos will, okay, yeah, I get that. I know what this is about now. I mean, the fans are going to let you forget. The fans don't care that those are new players. Like, okay, that's just Marshall. That's not Boogie Trotter just rolling in all by himself. That's not Carlos Del Rio Wilson just rolling in by himself. I mean, Coach Gibson's here for the long haul. He's in. I mean, he's wearing Marshall gear, so he's going to roll into Boone as the head coach. No, I get what you're saying. The continuity not necessarily is going to be the same from year to year, as this transfer portal thing has taken some of that feeling away from college sports. But this has got to be, in your mind, a hot and heavy rivalry. It has to be. I mean, do you think for 1 minute that Marshall just goes in and plays football against these teams and the history just doesn't matter? I think it's more than just the continuity of the players. That absolutely helps. And hopefully that issue eventually regulates itself. I'm hoping to see familiar faces next year as you build off this roster and you can retain as many players as you possibly can while adding newer players and retaining them. I see where you're going with this. I get it. But Marshall, the one thing that Marshall over the years has truly lacked, and that's a real rivalry. An absolute, that's our arch enemy, and the other school goes, yeah, and you are ours. Because every other school has got a different thing going with some other university, more so than what we've got with Marshall. You look at the schedule right now, Marshall would, if you look at football, just base it off football here. Okay. Ohio's not on the schedule this year. And just remember, Marshall and Ohio have a rivalry, but Ohio's bigger rival is Miami. I just have you're just looking at the schedule here. I just have a personal disdain for Eastern Kentucky. Middle Tennessee was not the rivalry, even though that was an out-of-conference game. Louisiana, there's a nice competitiveness to it, and the games seem to get a little juice. Old Dominion, that seems like more of a basketball thing to me. Texas State, how we hardly knew you. Coastal Carolina, that could be something, but I don't think Coastal's circling Marshall and going, yeah, that's our ultimate rival there. JMU, I think everyone hates JMU equally. So I don't know if Marshall JMU is like the rivalry. I don't think it is. Georgia State and Georgia Southern, they've got that thing. And then App State's got its thing with Georgia Southern, obviously. I don't know if you can look at anyone on this schedule and go, okay, that's Marshall's ultimate rival. That's Marshall's. That's it. That's the number one rival. That's the school we dial up on rival week. You know, we have a Georgia Southern week. We have an App State. But they're rivals. Not just, they're rivalries. It's just not the rival. It's not the game that you play at the end of the year. It's not Ohio State, Michigan on a small level. There's none of that. So Marshall's got to develop rivalries. It needs them. College football needs them. That's what this stuff is built off of. So I don't know which one you would circle and go, that's it. And don't base it off of my personal experiences, because I like to see Marshall get after Georgia Southern all the time. I mean, was EKU for you back in the day? It was for me. Western Kentucky, maybe the closest thing, but Western has that thing with Middle. And I don't know if while in Conference USA that Marshall replaced Middle for Western Kentucky, I'd have to ask Hilltopper fans today. I just don't think that there is that one school for Marshall that you go, okay, that's it. That's our rival. That's our bitter rival. That's the game every year. You can't lose this game. I don't think we have that just yet. So I'm here for continuing to generate these rivalries, see which one becomes really white hot. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Do you agree that you can't have a real rivalry because you get new players and new coaches? Is that a valid take for you? Or are you a little bit more towards my side? Hey, it's a rivalry. It's going to be a rivalry. I just got to teach the youngins. Look, I have to make sure before I'm done, before whatever day that is, Paul Swann no longer occupies the chair here with the microphone. I got to make sure the youngins understand this is what we do now. We are against Georgia Southern. We are against App State as people, right? This is me. I got to educate you now. I know. Well, I'm just going to say, these two are my favorite games on this schedule. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Baker's Waterproofing and Basement Authority of West Virginia are now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit MetroCommunityFCU.com today.
Hey, Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's.
This fall, let the Car Ferry bring a little magic to your driveway at Mark Porter Auto Group. With locations in Pomeroy, Jackson, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky. Want to shop 24 hours a day? Cozy up with a cup of cider and browse our full inventory anytime at markporterautogroup.com. Fall into a safe, reliable vehicle and let the Car Ferry guide you to Mark Porter Auto Group in Pomeroy, Jackson, and Ashland. Or shop 24/7 at markporterautogroup.com.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
How was your day? What did you do in school? I'm Dale Lee, president of the West Virginia Education Association, and these two simple questions can encourage learning in your home. Showing interest and asking about the school day can help motivate your children and keep them excited about learning. So stay involved, stay curious, and ask specific questions. Student success involves the whole family.
A message from the West Virginia Education Association.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
It's our wrap-up segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is still open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's go back to the text line. Looks like I got a okay thumbs up on my take for rivalry games. Appreciate that. If you want to jump in as well, you can do so. Again, that number one more time, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'm still searching for the designated rival for the Thundering Herd, but let's talk a little bit more about this game with App State. The game this week, the most important game because it's the next game. App State, you look at what they've been able to do and what they've not been able to do. Unfortunately, 4-6, 1-5 in the Sun Belt, on the cusp of elimination from bowl eligibility. Thundering Herd has the opportunity to do that on Saturday. They've had a few games with success, but Lindenwood, Oregon State, those were wins. Also, Charlotte was a win. And at Georgia State, those are the successes for the Mountaineers. And then there have been some close contests, and then you throw in JMU just thrashing App State 58-10. So I think you maybe excuse that game, but outside of that, been in contests, been in ball games. What does this team do, according to Coach Gibson, when it's successful, both on offense and on defense?
Yeah, they got a really, really good wide receiver. Their quarterbacks, they've played a couple different quarterbacks this year due to injury and some things, and their running back's really, really good. So their O-line is beat up a little bit as well, but they still, that they can score points. They got a great system. They do a great job of coaching those guys. Defensively, they're mixed. They'll go 4 down on early down, and those corners get up and challenge. So, our wide receivers are going to have to be ready for that. These guys are going to get right up on the line of scrimmage, get in their face, and we have to be able to win out on the perimeter. And then when they get into third down, they get in some 3-down stuff, and they get exotic a little bit with what they do, change some coverage up, will pressure you, still play some man. And special teams, they make you work. This is probably the one game their special teams are, they do a lot of unique stuff with their punt return team. They'll run a guy back that's covering one of our missiles, and he becomes a returner. They do some really good stuff. So we're gonna have to be focused, locked in, and it's gonna be a challenge, especially going there. Their crowd is great. I think they're leading the Sun Belt in attendance and all those things. So be a hostile environment, which is totally different from last week.
Absolutely. You go on their game notes as well. And let me tell you, first of all, it's cool that the opponent highlights the series, but which games do you think that the App State game notes highlight as memorable? The 94 and 95 games. Why are those memorable to App State Mountaineer fans? Well, in 94, the Herd was top ranked, number 1 in 1994. App State's 24th and gets the 24-14 upset of the Herd. And then in 1995, Marshall was number 3, App State was number 2, and App State comes in to Huntington and wins 10-3. And here's a name that everybody loves to hate. It's Dexter Coakley. Anybody from the veteran Herd fan set remember Dexter Coakley? I do. To this day. I mean, we're talking 1994, 1995. We're talking the 90s, and I can't forget Dexter Coakley. Don't forget Scott Satterfield. Remember him? You remember Johnny Smith? What about, obviously, Chandler Staton back in 2021? And there are some names. There's some highlights from this series. So I don't know how App State fans feel about the Herd, but I'm going to designate, well, at least for this week anyway, rival number 1, Marshall App State, until a more suitable rival can be identified for permanent status. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Talking about as far as the success that this team saw last week, one of the things that really stood out was just how Carlos really was able to lead the charge for the Thundering Herd. And we'll talk about him a little bit more directly in a second, but Coach did rate the offensive performance of this team. And he also looked at the defensive side as well. As far as how Marshall did perform, there are some things that Coach would like to have back, obviously, and he highlights that.
We had some drives that we killed ourselves, some missed opportunities. And what I was happy about is, we were better on third down. We were better in the red zone. We got 3 opportunities, got 17 points. Obviously, I would have loved to have 21 points there, but we didn't. And then on the reverse side of that, defensively, we had 2 takeaways down in the red zone, so that was huge. Obviously, that was the difference in the game. So we just have to keep getting better, and I know we're game 11, but it never stops right now with us because, again, we've been together for 11 weeks during a season with this football team and this coaching staff, and I still don't think we've really played one full game all year long against Old Dominion. We play in spurts at times, and in order for us to go on the road, be a good football team, we're going to have to put 4 quarters of football and play together and help each other out.
That's Coach Gibson. We'll talk more about his thoughts on Carlos in a second, but I want to get back to the text line on the rivalry thing. Texter says, Paul, no doubt JMU is the team we will have to beat. They have money. Amen. Absolutely. Appreciate the text. Also, this one's interesting. Texter says, it seems like Dexter Coakley had 100 tackles against the Herd, and he had a solid career with the Cowboys and the Rams. Appreciate that. Also, here's one. Dexter Coakley used to wreck us, and then we got payback when we went back to Boone, and Moss wrecked them the season before we moved to Division 1A. Dexter did go on to have a good career for the Cowboys in the NFL. Absolutely. The Mountaineers got mossed, as it should have been. You know, the thing is about that 1996 season, you know really what stands out to me? It was like the Marshall revenge tour, because in 1995, that didn't finish the way I wanted it to. And then you come in 1996, and nothing was stopping you. Nothing. To Marshall's credit, Marshall took care of all the business it needed to, but the one opponent that gave Marshall probably the most trouble was App State. And that game was at Kid Brewer Stadium, by the way. It was a 24-10 victory against then number 20 App State. But Marshall that year wrecked almost everyone. 55-27 against Howard, 42-7 against West Virginia State. Those were laughers. 13th ranked Georgia Southern. It was a 29-13 win at Paulson Stadium. And then number 12 Western Kentucky. Marshall won that one 37-3. Chattanooga, that one made my heart sing, 45-0 there. Bye-bye VMI, 45-20 victory there at VMI. Western Kentucky, which is always a candidate for a team that I cannot stand, and that's respectfully. Marshall beat the Catamounts 56-21. Then number 20 App State got its comeuppance with a 24-10 victory on its home field. The Citadel, farewell, 56-25 there. Then another school that I love to hate, number 7 ETSU. What a murderer's row this schedule was that year. That was a 34-10 victory for the Herd. And then if I'm circling a team from the Southern Conference days that I'd like to see get Division I and play football against, it would be number 12 Furman. That year, number 12 Furman. It was a 42-17 there. I had good interactions with their fans, though. They were smug, and it was great to shut them up that day. Number 11 Delaware. I remember having a lot of hatred towards Delaware in my younger, non-objective, non-media Paul Swann days. That was a 59-14 win, and that was first round the 1AA playoffs. And then Furman again, and oh, by the way, 54-0 blasting of Furman made my heart sing. And then Northern Iowa, 31-14, no problem there. And then Montana got beat 49-29, little revenge there. So the Thundering Herd getting business done that year. That was a tremendous year for the Thundering Herd. And then Marshall went into the Mid-American Conference and started to own and wreck the MAC for the longest time. And then Mark Snyder happened. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.